to Survive and Advance on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. Survive and Advance is brought to you, as always, by BetNow.eu. Make sure you go to BetNow.eu, use the promo code TRUTH50, and once you do that, you'll get a 50% cash back bonus on your first deposit up to $1,000. And from here on out, if you sign up and you put $50 or more in, let us know about it, and we'll follow along all year. And when we talk NFL every Monday, we'll go through and we'll see at the end of the year who's made the most money on BetNow.eu. Whoever has the most amount of money in their account, Steve Risley is going to give them a prize. Now, we can't tell you what the prize is, but the prize is worth millions. But make sure you go to BetNow.eu. The other big key here is if you go to BetNow.eu and you use promo code TRUTH50, during every Friday, Steve Risley is going to give you his picks. Now, if you want to become a multimillionaire, if you pick the opposite of Steve Risley, you will win probably 85 to 90% of your games every year. We call it the Risley Report. Of course, we get the Sheridan Report, which will be back when the NFL starts. And with Bobby, you bet on who he says is going to win. With Steve, you go the opposite way, and you're almost guaranteed to win. Isn't that right? And here is my co-host from the Risley Report, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing great today. You know, and that's absolutely true. I've got this money sitting in this account because I got one of these accounts set up and everything like that, and I haven't bet a penny of it yet because I'm scared to death.
Well, you wait till football season, and then what we'll do is the first week of football season, the game you're the most comfortable with, we'll go in on air and teach you how to bet the game you want to bet.
There you go. But see, now, if you want my NASCAR opinion, now, like I picked Kevin Harvick to win this week in Michigan. I know you don't care about NASCAR, and
Did
most
he
people
win?
that listen to this, yeah, he won.
Oh, but Alex Gray still picked more winners this year, hadn't he?
I think we're about even now.
Oh, okay.
I think cause I picked the last two winners, the last 2 weeks in a row.
Well, you get pretty good odds. Why did you wait? You got like money in your account. You got what you know the best going on. You just had two straight winners, and you didn't bet either one of them.
No, I'm not even sure I know how to bet the money.
Yeah, you just click the one you think's going to win, and then you put the amount of money you want to bet on them. And with NASCAR, usually everybody's at least 8-1 or 10-1 odds-wise, right?
Yeah, well, no, I mean, you know, NASCAR's a different sport because somebody can wreck you in the middle of
That's what I'm
minute.
saying, though. So you're getting long odds on even the favorites, right?
No, not really.
So,
I mean,
the favorite of a race is usually what? Is he 2-1, 5-1?
Usually 5-1, something in that area.
Yeah, so that's good odds.
Again.
You bet $10, you win 50. All right, let's go ahead and let's start the show because today we're going to talk U.S. fencing. We do not talk NASCAR, but we will talk U.S. fencing, and then we'll do a little NFL headlines. On Friday, a member of the U.S. men's fencing team, yeah, that's a thing, who joined his teammates on the victory stand after they won a gold medal at the Pan American Games, decided to make a political statement, taking a knee while the American national anthem was being played. Racing Bowden, whose teammates Garrick Meinhardt and Nick Itkin both stood as the anthem was played in Lima, Peru. This is Racing Bowden's reason for taking a knee. President Trump spreads hate writing. We must call for change. This week, I am honored to represent the Team USA at the Pan Am Games, taking home gold and bronze. My pride, however, has been cut short by the multiple shortcomings of the country I hold so dear to my heart. Racism, gun control, mistreatment of immigrants, and a president who spreads hate are at the top of my list. I choose to sacrifice my moment today at the top of the podium to call attention to issues that I believe need to be addressed. I encourage others to please use our platform for empowering change also. Now, Steve, the way I look at this is this. He didn't sacrifice his moment. He just made it so people outside of the 14 people in attendance know about him now.
Is this a show where we got to be politically correct?
You can say whatever the hell you want, Steve. I've never have been. I thought you always tried to be.
He's an idiot. Okay, now, this whole thing about taking a knee stuff, I get it. I mean, and this is the First Amendment, the Second Amendment of the Constitution, the First Amendment. First Amendment, you have a right to freedom of speech. So, and the same thing with like burning a flag. I would never do that in my life. It doesn't sit well with me, but people have the right to do it.
No, they don't.
And you don't?
I'm just kidding. You don't have a right to wear it on your clothing, though, like you so support. But go ahead.
I have a Ralph Lauren polo T-shirt on right now that has an American flag.
And that is against the U.S. flag code. And you know about it because I explained the flag code to you a couple weeks ago. But yet you still tend to piss on America. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay. I just don't understand the mix between sports and politics and why you can't keep them separate and why you have to take that stage when you've accomplished something like winning a gold medal at the Pan Am Games. And then you've got to do this to make a statement that really doesn't play well in China. And that's a phrase. Doesn't play well in the United States either.
I'll tell you this. My problem with it is this. He doesn't have a First Amendment right here. The difference between him and Colin Kaepernick, which I support Colin Kaepernick, whatever he wants to do is fine. But the difference is this. On Saturday, Mark Jones, Vice President of Communications for the U.S. Olympic Committee, responded with a statement reading, "Every athlete competing at the 2019 Pan American Games commits to terms of eligibility, including to refrain from demonstrations that are political in nature. In this case, Race didn't adhere to the commitment he made to the organizing committee and the United States Olympic, Committee. We respect his rights to express his viewpoints, but we are disappointed that he chose not to honor his commitment on our leadership or reviewing the consequences that may result." So the difference between him and Colin Kaepernick is this. The NFL left Pandora's box open by not making players do stuff like this.
Rule, right.
The problem with Race Bowden and his U.S. fencing team is they agreed with the United States Olympic Committee to refrain from demonstrations that are political in nature. So right there, he violated it. He loses his right to First Amendment speech when he agrees to participate for the U.S. fencing team and agreed to the rules that were set forth.
Well, Mike, I'm not so sure you can lose your First Amendment rights. I don't think you can ever take those away from anybody.
Yeah,
no,
it
what
does,
you take away,
because it is not in. Wait a second. The First Amendment does not have something to do with what you're doing when you sign a contract that says you won't do it. So he did. You give up that right to protest when you agree to give up that right to protest. Now, if he'd have never signed that, he would have never been able to compete. And my thing is this. The time to mix sports and politics is this. Nobody knows who the hell Race Boat or whatever the hell his name is. And nobody in the world would have known who this guy was unless you were a U.S. fencing fan. And I don't think there's a whole bunch of them. But by doing this, when he did it, Race Boat is now on the front of Daily Wire, ESPN, all these places that nobody would have heard of him before. So maybe he was just smart and just jumped in and just made a name for himself. He'll probably get a couple sponsorship deals out of this, and there you go.
All right, so one statement and then one question for you. Statement is, I would assume that as all these athletes now are, these guys are getting paid something to do this.
Probably not
I don't think it's getting what
it's
the
U.S.
gymnasts
fencing team at the Pan Am Games.
They're getting something. They're getting, if it's $5,000. And, so I would just say the answer is if there was a contract signed and he signed it, then you take away his medal and you take away his money and say, fine, no, go to freedom of speech. I mean, if you ever read the story about the guys that signed the Constitution of the United States, most of them got hunted down and killed by the British. I mean, they paid a huge price to sign that. If you ever read the story about the Constitution and all the guys,
Adams,
the 50 or the
Jefferson,
53 guys that signed. Yeah. I mean, the big guys.
Well, they were going to hunt them down anyway, Steve. It had nothing to do with the Constitution. They were the leaders of the country. So if you're the British, you're going to go after them anyway.
Most of them got killed by the British when they signed it. So, and I'm paraphrasing in a very large view, but I remember reading about it years ago that most of them were hunted down, and they got most of them, because they didn't get the big guys because they were well protected. But if you take that risk, then you're going to forfeit something. I mean, these guys sacrificed their lives to write the Constitution. Many of them did. And so if this guy wants to do this, I'm not for it. I don't like taking a knee. I don't think that I have no issues with how our country is. It's a work in progress every day of the year. I mean, we've got goofy leadership. We've got goofy laws. We've got people trying to cross our borders. We've got all kinds of stuff. We got wars going on that we're sending our people over to fight that we really have no interest in. And to come back here and to kind of, well, I'm just going to say, piss on our country pisses me off. But he has the right to do it. But now you sacrifice. You signed a contract. So you don't get your money.
I mean, all of this is null and void because he signed that contract. Now, the thing that bothers me is this. When I look at the picture on the stand, I see 2, 4, 7, 9. I see 12 white guys.
I see 2 guys saluting.
I see 12 white guys. This is what I see. I see 12 white guys. And Rayson Bowden on Sunday appeared on CNN where he stated that a lot of people believe that his sport is represented by white privilege, and thus he felt a responsibility to speak out, that it was time that a different face stepped up to follow former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick. My problem with that is this. Why don't Rayson Bolden do something about this? Why don't Rayson Bolden allow a black person to take his spot? Maybe and I have no doubt that he has what I call rich privilege. All right? It's not white privilege. There's a ton of white kids that couldn't afford to be fencers. So he has rich privilege. These are 12 rich kids with rich parents that have been privileged to never have to work a day in their freaking lives. And now he wants to stand up and take a knee against it. What has he done in his daily life to take a knee against it? What has he done to sacrifice himself to help people that are underprivileged? So to me, this isn't white privilege when I look at it. This is rich privilege. I mean, how many kids are freaking fencers? If you're a fencer, chances are you're white, and chances are you probably can't play a real sport anyway. Race will probably be driving the white privilege car at Daytona next February.
Well, there's oh God, and that's another question I had. Okay, we're just going to go into this direction right now before we get into the NFL. People of color. Is white not a color?
Huh?
Is white not a color?
Is white not a color? What's that matter?
We're all people of color. Everybody's a person of color. Okay. All right.
So
I just want to make
where are you going with that?
Nowhere, because I don't want to get into
politics. Because this is the thing.
This discussion.
All right, hold on now. In
right.
physics, all right, this is what I do know about this, and this is what makes it really interesting, because we're not just talking about white. In physics, a color is visible light with a specific wavelength, if I remember my physics class that I had before I flunked out of Indiana State. And black and white are not colors because they don't have specific wavelength. Instead, white light, I think, contains all wavelengths of visible light. Black, on the other hand, is the absence of visible light. So actually, black and white are non-existent as colors anyways.
Yeah, okay. So I mean, I give him his credit. He has the right to do what he wants to do under the First Amendment. And he signed a contract which said he wouldn't do it. The NBA has strict rules about you can't take a knee in the NBA. They laid their law down.
Yeah, so which is why in the NBA, those players don't have a problem with it because they signed it. The problem here is this kid signed it. Now he wants to go back on it. And I still think it's just so people know who Rayson Bowden is. And I guarantee you this will
yeah.
be the last time we ever talk about Racing Bowden. And who the hell names a kid Race anyways?
Yeah,
NASCAR driver, maybe.
No, we got Chase. My driver, Chase
I'm just
Elliott.
saying, if you're a NASCAR driver,
I
can see why you'd name your kid Race. Race Earnhardt would have been a cool name.
Okay. Okay, so let's just take it. Kaepernick. I mean, I read an article the other day about him where he's been training at 5 o'clock in the morning every day for the last 3 years. He's ready to play, wants to come back. Is he ever going to get back in the NFL?
Probably not.
You think he's just unofficially blackballed?
I think it's damn near official right now.
Oh, jeez. I tell you.
But
I don't know. I don't like the fact when sports and politics.
I've got no problem with it when it is allowed, which the NFL allowed it, because this is the thing. If you're calling Kaepernick, that is, if you truly believe something is wrong and you want to change it, why would you not use your biggest platform to do it? I've got no problem with calling Kaepernick. Now, I would have had a problem with calling Kaepernick if, like Racing Bolden, he'd signed something saying he would not do that. Because once you sign away that right, you just gave up your First Amendment. And that's on you, because you don't have to play if you truly believe in something so much. It's just like Racing Bolden could have said, hey, I'm not going to compete because I don't agree with this. But the thing is this, when he signed it, he agreed not to do it, that it was wrong. And then he does it. So that's BS.
Well,
Race Bolden's an idiot.
Like I said, he forfeits whatever money is paid to the fencing team. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they even get paid. I mean, I know other sports get paid. I mean, the women's soccer team is going, goofball bananas over not getting paid as much as the men's soccer team when they're winning all the World Cups and the men's are not even making the World Cups. You've got that. You got the basketball team. You got the dream team that doesn't stay in the same hotel. That they have private hotel suites.
Yeah, but
private transportation.
With those guys, you got to understand it, Steve. Especially when you're looking at like 1992.
I understand it. Yeah.
I mean, that and those guys
still goes on.
They're used to a nicer, more palatial surroundings. So if you want to keep them playing, you got to take care of them.
Yeah, I get that.
Once again, that is what? That is rich privilege.
Rich privilege, exactly. It's rich privilege. But the experience of it, when I coached AAU basketball, we finished 6th in the country one year, and I mean, we all stayed in a dump hotel in Greensboro, North Carolina. It was a residence inn. It was.
You know what though? If Isaiah Thomas would have been coaching your son's team, you'd have stayed in a lot nicer place.
Probably so, but he has the money to do that. So I didn't have the money to do that. But we all did the things together, and there was other teams there. Our kids hung out with the kids from the other team. They did the whole experience of doing it. So I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just tired of the infusion of politics into sports and thinking that taking a knee is the way to express yourself. The better way to do it is get out and vote. Let's get out and vote.
Okay.
And whether race votes or not, who knows if race votes or not?
Doesn't matter if race votes, because race voting will not change anything that he doesn't like about the country. So
exactly, and I think there's
scumbags anyways.
There's a lot more to like about this country than there is a lot more to dislike about this country.
Not anymore, but that's a story for another show. Right now we have the Houston.
Hey, I did want to say one thing. I've changed my phraseology. I didn't want, and we'll have another discussion on this later down the road. I'm never again going to use assault weapons as a phrase.
They're illegal anyways.
I'm going to use military grade weapons.
That's stupid because it's not. Every weapon's a military grade weapon.
Yeah, but there are some that should only be used in the military.
No, there isn't, Steve. I mean, you're just a candy-ass sissy if you think that.
We had a police officer shot and killed here yesterday in Los Angeles.
Yeah. And the police officers kill and shoot a lot of people too, Steve.
Yeah, I know. It's a two-way street.
Wait a second. How about this? Do you think police should be allowed to have weapons like that?
Yeah. I think
then why shouldn't
law
I?
Enforcement.
Then why shouldn't I? They're law enforcement.
Do.
No, that's
no,
bullshit,
I don't think
Steve.
You shouldn't, Mike.
Oh, God. You just said that I shouldn't, but they should. So the question is this. If you're going to outlaw...
I didn't say banning military-grade weapons.
Yeah, you did. You said that they ought to ban all military-grade weapons, is what you just said.
I think they should be very difficult to get your hands on one.
They are.
And I would trust you with one.
No, they
Unless
are, Steve. You have to go through a background check. And I hate to tell you this, but do you think that... So if you were to ban AK-47s or AR-15s, that means me as a law-abiding citizen cannot have it. That means any law-abiding citizen cannot have it. What does that mean on the other side? Who does get them then?
Well, then you go on the black market, then you get them. Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah,
criminals
will have them. See, and the thing is this.
Yeah, they're out there.
You're the kind of person I would take a knee against because you're a freaking idiot. Anybody that believes having less guns in good people's hands is a bad thing is a idiot. Completely. I mean, the only thing you do when you take guns away from law-abiding citizens is make it easier for somebody to come kill me. And the Second Amendment to the Constitution says that it shall not be infringed. It's infringed upon all the time. And then the people will bitch about the NRA. If you look at the NRA in the 2016 election, there were at least 20 lobbyists and PACs that donated more money than the NRA did. The NRA donated like $6 million to campaigns. Big Pharma, $4 billion. Insurance, $2.3 billion. And you know what? I'll tell you this. Big Pharma, and this is a fact you can look up through the CDC, Big Pharma kills 10, 20 times more people every year than guns do. And guns are also far more used defensively than they are offensively. How many people are killed per year in gun deaths?
I have no clue.
33,000. How many people do you think die because of opioids?
I have no clue.
89,000. But yet we're going to bitch about that.
All right, but look at the ratio. I mean, I really didn't want to get into this discussion. Look at the ratio.
Yeah, the ratio is this.
The ratio of
average,
people that take drugs versus own assault weapons.
I hate to tell you
military-grade weapons.
I hate to tell you this. I don't know what a military-grade weapon is because an AR-15 is not a military-grade weapon.
It's not.
No, it's not made like a military-grade weapon. You're talking about like an M16.
I don't own a gun. I don't own a gun.
So. Yeah, so this is the thing. How do you know? You know, everybody sits there and says, well, they need to do better background checks. I've bought many guns before, and every time I have to wait 20, 25 minutes while they do a background check and run it through our government to make sure it's all right for me to have that gun. But you know what? If I'm a criminal, I can just go get one.
Right, yeah. That's what I'm saying. The black market is never going to be fixed.
It's not the black market. You don't even have to have the black market. You know, you can just know somebody who will sell you the gun, Steve. I mean,
right, exactly.
This is stupid.
You're right.
I mean, the fact that you want to take away rights from law-abiding citizens is sickening. It's sickening when anybody wants.
I don't think you shouldn't be able to own an AR-15.
Well, what the hell is that?
I just think you should be cleared that
you're a fucking idiot.
You're mentally sound enough to hold on to one.
They do, Steve. They do. They run background checks on everybody.
The guy that shot up El Paso went to New Mexico or went to Las Vegas or Nevada, bought a gun and drove 10 hours to El Paso. I mean, he took the gun with him when he left. Well, I think you have to have a background check.
I don't know of any place you can. And I can tell you this also. Can you tell me the difference between an AR-15 and a handgun?
Well, I think it's the number of the biggest thing I would say. And again, I'm not a gun owner, so I'm naive on this to some degree on the guns. But I would guess it's the number of bullets in the chamber or in the cartridge, because in a handgun, if I had a .44 Magnum, I got 6 shots.
You know what? This is the thing. In a handgun, if I got a Glock, I could have a I could have a magazine that holds 20 or 30 rounds, just like an AR-15. Tell me the difference. When you pull the trigger on an AR-15, a bullet comes out. On a handgun, a bullet comes out. Now, every time you want a bullet to come out, you got to pull the trigger. Now, also tell me this. And the last 44 mass shootings in this country, 43 of them were in gun-free zones, Steve. Why is that? Because if you want to go shoot a place up, you're going to go where you know there's no guns. You know, if you're going to rob my house or my neighbor's house and you know that I'm heavily armed and he's not, whose house you robbing?
There you go. I see both sides of the argument. I mean,
I don't.
I told my wife, we were talking about the other night.
I believe in the Constitution. Now, see, the thing is this. The fact that you believe that way is shitting on the Constitution just like Race Bolton, the way you claim.
No.
Yeah, it is.
No.
It is. It says the Second Amendment is to not be infringed. Why was the Second Amendment put there, Steve?
It was put there in order to form a militia in terms to protect yourself.
To protect yourself
and
from
then you
what?
have the right to bear arms.
To protect yourself from what?
From infringement from other people. I would
from
guess.
What people?
The British or whatever.
No, it was to defend yourself from a tyrannical government. Thomas Jefferson made that clear.
Oh, I know. You use that argument.
Adams made it. It's not using an argument. It's the truth, Steve. And see, the problem is this. Your head is so far up your ass with most other people, they don't realize what's going on. I don't understand why Democrats who hate Trump, and I hate Trump. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I think both sides are corrupt as hell. They both take money from PACs. Our government is bought and paid for. But I don't see how people can run around and say Donald Trump is Hitler and then in the next breath say we need gun control. You're a freaking idiot if you believe that. Because if you believe that Adolf Hitler or Donald Trump is Adolf Hitler, why would you want to give up your right to defend yourself from Adolf Hitler? It's stupid. These people are stupid. And I had an argument yesterday with Dennis Rappaport. Dennis Rappaport was one of the managers, promoters of Jerry Cooney. And he's one of these flaming liberals that think everybody ought to just sit there and sing Kumbaya while people shoot him in the head. And he's on there and he's talking about how evil Trump is and how it's racist. Dennis Rappaport is a man that made his millions off of being a flaming freaking racist. And now he thinks people forgot, but I didn't. Because you know what? I'm a huge Jerry Cooney fan. And I remember after the 10th round, Dennis Rappaport sticks his head up and he yells at Jerry Cooney, Jerry, win this for America. America needs you. Because he's fighting a black man. And they played the racial angle with Jerry Cooney and Larry Holmes, and I've talked to both of them about this. And Dennis Rappaport was one of the biggest scumbags that had something to do with that. And he's going to sit here and preach to me about racism. Dennis Rappaport can kiss my ass. You know, I'm just tired of everybody being a sissy. You know, put it like this, Steve. If you were in a mall and somebody comes in with a gun, any kind of gun, and just starts shooting, would you rather have a gun with you, or would you rather just basically stick your head up your ass and hope you don't get shot?
Well, that was the point I was trying to make before you interrupted me. I said we just need to go back to the Old West and put a holster on everybody. Let everybody carry a gun.
Everybody can carry a gun that's legally able to, at least in the state I live in and the states around me. And the thing is this, how many mass shootings? In Kentucky, you do not have to have a concealed carry license. You could just carry now.
Do you not? No, well, that's Kentucky.
Which is the way it should be. And I'll tell you this, there ain't a whole lot of mass shootings in Indiana or Kentucky. Dayton, and the thing is, in Dayton, it was a place you're not allowed to have a gun. You know, bars don't let you have guns in them. Malls don't let you carry guns in them. So people shoot them up. All right, let's talk football. Houston Texans coach Bill O'Brien has no clue when Jadeveon Clowney will report for work this season. Frankly, the coach doesn't seem too worried about it. I think that is because we had Ian Rappaport from NFL Network previously reported that Clowney planned to report after the team's third preseason game. Now, the bigger takeaway here to me, Steve, is that O'Brien's response underscores everything we've heard regarding the situation, that there's no underlying animosity on either side. Clowney is simply exercising his right to skip training camp without being fined and will show up to be ready for work once he reports. And I think this, with Clowney, he knows a huge season here gives him a huge payday in free agency next year. The Texans know that with a big season from Clowney, they could go deep into the postseason. So both sides see the positives of just kind of letting this play out. Clanley's report date, I think, is superfluous at this point, and I think O'Brien's response indicates that. What do you think about a player who has it in his contract where he's good to show up for the third preseason game, but he doesn't have to show up before that, not showing up until then?
Mike, I've been married 35 years, so I honor my commitments. I mean, I love my wife to death. So I honor my commitments. If I sign a contract and an agreement to do something, I honor it and then work my deal out on the next go-around.
Now, this has nothing to do with working his deal out. This is in his deal.
Okay, well, then hold out. I mean, it's all about the money.
He's not holding out. He's just chilling until all the hard work's done, and then he can come in and play football.
Why not come in and play and work the deal out?
This is the thing, though. Reggie White, Michael Strahan, all these are guys that I remember doing that in their careers, too, where they would not show up until like the third or fourth week of preseason because they didn't want to deal with running around.
Well, Ezekiel Elliott's doing it right now, too.
No, he's not doing the same thing. I don't think – I think this. I believe Ezekiel Elliott will be there first game. I don't think that's why he's holding out right now. He's trying to break the bank right now, not next year. So his holdout's different than Clowney's. Clowney had it in his contract where he could pull this off and nobody could really get mad at him. So in a perfect world, he would be there working out. But to me, like I said, my most important part, if I'm a head coach, of getting through a preseason is just getting everybody in through healthy. So if he shows up and he's in shape, and he plays a little bit in the game and he's ready to go for the real games, I'm good with that. It's better than him showing up 3 weeks ago and getting hurt in the first preseason game.
Well, they don't even do contact anymore in preseason, do they?
In the games, they do.
Well, the games they do, but not at practice.
I think there is some contact in practices, not like it used to be, though. But, I mean, we had a guy for the Cleveland Browns, the defensive end, that was carried off on a stretcher yesterday. So, I mean, these are still big dudes running full speed, and even if you're not supposed to have contact, it's kind of like if you've ever played flag football. You know, it's supposed to be grabbing the flag, but there's always somebody walking around with a bloody nose at some point.
Yeah, I'm going to send you a picture of my flag football team I quarterbacked. We were undefeated.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
That was a women's league, wasn't it?
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
What?
The game has changed. I mean, television and everything has changed the game. There's medium. There's social medium for everybody to state their cases and plead their cases. I mean, guys in the Packers in the 60s, the Raiders in the 60s and 70s, and the Chiefs, and those guys, they just went out and played. And they wanted to get on the field and play. When I played basketball,
there was all kind of guys that held out back in the day.
Well, after Kurt Flood.
Yeah, there was guys before Kurt Flood that would hold out a few.
Was it really?
This is the thing. You got to remember this. Preseason used to be 6 preseason games. So they would go to some dorm in a college and stay there for like 2 months and beat the shit out of each other. That used to be NFL training camp. Not the same thing it used to be.
Well, that's the $10 question, Mike. I mean, again, I respect your opinion on this because you get this. Is 4 preseason games too much? I mean, should we only be playing 2? Because I think Colts are going to Cleveland. They're going to scrimmage with them for like 3 days, 2 or 3 days. So I was reading up on Andrew Luck. We'll get to Andrew Luck's injury here in a minute. But is 4 and you're charging people full admission to see guys that probably aren't going to make a team, that aren't going to play, and you're paying full admission in. You know, my Colts tickets when I left Indianapolis were $150 a ticket. And we had great seats. I mean, we were in the 30-yard line, 10 rows up.
So basically you're paying an extra $300 to go to 2 preseason games.
Exactly, yeah. So should there only be – now they're doing all these controlled scrimmages with teams. Should there be 4 preseason games? Just go to an 18-game schedule or
I would
back
never
it down.
go to an 18-game schedule.
Okay,
I would say
that's
this.
right. back it down.
I would say this.
Game,
I would back
games.
it down. I'm different than most because most people think it's a 2 or a 4. I think 3 is the perfect number because 3, the third game is when they put their best players every 3 quarters. Now, I think this 2 would work because I can tell you when I coached arena football, I may have 35 guys trying to make a roster of 20 or 21. But after that first preseason game, I pretty much know who everybody on my roster is, except for maybe the last position or 2. So I think you do need. I mean,
so you want to sacrifice. You want to sacrifice your entire team at risk, including your backup quarterback. Like the Eagles lost their backup quarterback now.
Yeah, but the thing is this: with backup quarterbacks, they need to work. So that risk is worth taking. The risk that's not worth taking is you're starting running back. If you're the Rams, if you played Todd Gurley even a snap in the preseason, it's stupid. If you're Joe Mixon in the Bengals, if you take the field and take a snap, it's stupid. What I remember is this. Back in the mid-'90s, I wanted to see Barry Sanders play. Me and my wife got tickets from somebody for the Bengals-Lions preseason game. This was in 95 or 96, or it may have been 97 either. But we go to the game. And Barry Sanders showed up. He warmed up before the game, and then he came back out in sweatpants and watched the entire game. And the thing is, I think Barry Sanders in his entire career after his rookie season, I don't think he ever carried the ball in a preseason game. And if you jump that forward another year, in Detroit, the Cincinnati Bengals had traded up to get Kajana Carter as their first pick. And the second play of the first preseason game, Kajana Carter tears the ACL in his knee. He's never the same again, and that's it. So I think this. I could go with 2 games even. 3 may be better because you could play your backups the first game to try to get a feel of who's what. And then the second game, you could play like they do the third game today where you play them for a half. And then you've got the end of the second game to evaluate. And in the third game, you just evaluate what you got. You go in and you play your 16 games. There's no reason for 4. 2 or 3, I think, would be fine.
Should they be full price?
No. I mean, this is what they should do.
This kind of price?
How about
half
this?
Price or?
No, I think what they should do is this. You should go to places like, well, number one, I would think season ticket holders that want to buy the tickets for the preseason games, you charge them half price. Now, any ticket that is left over, maybe you take that to the local Special Olympics, the local children's hospital. You distribute those tickets and let people that don't get a chance to come to an NFL game come to an NFL game. Because I know that, like in Cincinnati, you could usually get tickets on StubHub between $6 and $20. I mean, there's a lot of $6 tickets, and I know that when I was broke as hell in like the late 90s, early 2000s, and my kids wanted to go to an NFL game, I would, I'd buy tickets for the preseason game. We'd get good seats. It'd cost like $20 for 3 tickets. I'd take them to the game. So I think what you do is, I mean, you go around the places where, people maybe aren't well off, and you give them the tickets. And when you have parking there, charge $5 for the parking. You don't have to charge $50 for parking for a preseason game. But the thing is, the NFL will probably never do it because the NFL doesn't give a shit. We already know that.
Right.
But if you were to come out and, like if I'm in Cincinnati and I go to Cincinnati Children's Hospital and I just give tickets away to the parents there and the kids, I go to the Special Olympics, just give tickets away. It doesn't cost you anything. We already know that every NFL team has already made money off of their television contract. They don't need to have 50,000 people show up to a preseason game. They're going to be fine.
No, they're not showing up.
Yeah, and how about this? When they get to the game, why not $1 hot dogs, $1 pops? And you can still sell your $10 beer, and people will still buy it.
I had Colts tickets for probably 20, 22 years, and I don't know that I hit 10 preseason games in that time frame. I mean, I just would give them to somebody and say, here, you can go to sit in my seats. We have fabulous seats. We got them in the lottery, and we were lucky. We got fabulous seats in the lottery when Colts came in '84, and we got great seats. But I'm like, I don't care to go to a preseason game. But I will tell you this. I did watch preseason football on Thursday night and on Saturday night, And the guys trying to make the team, they play hard. I mean, they're trying to make a team, so they're going at it 110% every play because they're trying to impress somebody.
Yeah.
So it's actually not bad football. It's not brand name
football. It's bad football.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're a coach. Yeah.
It's bad football. It always is when you get guys that aren't going to make the team, man. I mean, hell,
yeah.
Did you watch Hard Knocks with the Oakland Raiders?
Yes, I did. I watched it.
Well, have you ever watched Last Chance U?
No, I've got to watch that. I've got a DVR. I have
because
not
you
watched
got that
it
lazy ass Ronald Ollie. Now, they bring him in as part of the team. Didn't anybody with the Oakland Raiders watch Last Chance U? It looks like if you're going to bring in Ronald Ollie, my guess is HBO said, hey, let's bring in Ronald Ollie because he was from Last Chance U and everybody will know who he is. And John Grier's like, cool. Did we not ever watch Ronald Ollie on Last Chance U? Because on Last Chance U, Ronald Ollie was some lazy, waste of space football player. And I'm sorry, it's just what he is. He's lazy. He doesn't do anything. He's fat. Not in shape is probably the nicer way to say that. But he's fat. And I don't know why you would be surprised that he gets cut a few days in because the dude is useless. He has no work ethic, and yet you bring him in. And when I watched the Oakland Raiders on there, the only thing I could say is that their season is going to be a dumpster fire by the time this is over. I mean, Antonio Brown is being supported by John Gruden. I mean, maybe somebody needs to stand up and make Antonio Brown live up to his contract or go somewhere else. That's what I would want to do.
Before we get there, because I want to go to that story because AB is going to report, and Gruden's supporting him on his helmet deal, and he put a statement out on ESPN. He was on film last night with ESPN. But let's go back to with the controlled scrimmages that most teams are running now. Like I said, the Colts are going up to Cleveland. They're probably there now, or they're heading there now, and they're going to do controlled scrimmages. Is that a safer mode than doing a preseason game in full gear, full pads?
How about this? It's a safer mode, but football is not safe. And I guarantee you this,
right.
The difference in speed of the game between their scrimmage and the preseason game no play will be 10 times faster. Because still, you're putting these players in front of a big crowd at a stadium, on TV. Everything's ramped up. And if you've got a quarterback, as a quarterback at any level, when you're playing in a game situation in front of a crowd, everything speeds up. In a controlled scrimmage, it's controlled. So I think you do need to have some scrimmage time. I don't see why you'd throw your running backs or your wide receivers out there. But I think your quarterbacks, maybe give them a quarter.
Okay.
I don't even know there. I mean, why the hell is Tom Brady playing a preseason game?
Right, that was my next question. I mean, I watched the first series. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Cleveland, they run their entire first unit on the first two series, and they look sharp. I mean, Mayfield looks sharp. They look good.
Yeah,
they
but the thing about that is this.
Odell
if you
Beckham.
watched most teams, the Cowboys were sharp with Dak Prescott. The Bengals were sharp with Dalton.
Why would you play these
Chiefs
guys?
were
Why
sharp
would you
with
put
Mahomes.
them in a game?
Because you want to give them some kind of timing, and it makes a little bit of sense to me. But when I look at it overall, I just don't see where the reward outweighs the risk, because I think the risk significantly outweighs the reward here.
I think the risk is much greater.
That's what I just said.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Okay, then we agree.
I said the risk outweighs the reward.
Weighs the reward, exactly.
Yeah. The risk is much bigger than the reward. Now, if you are the New York Giants,
one hit on Mahomes.
How about
one
this?
hit on Mahomes.
How about this? If I'm the New York Giants, why do I want to run Daniel Jones out against the other team's backups? I want to see if Daniel Jones can play. I already know what Eli Manning can do. So why don't I start the game with Daniel Jones and see how he does against the starters to see if he's ready to do this for real? Now, we're not going to know for sure off preseason if he is, but I can tell you this. If he's against starting defensive players and he fails miserably, that would tell me he's not ready for a regular season game. if he succeeds and plays very well, which I think he was, 5 for 5, 5 for 6, something like that, threw a touchdown pass, but it was against backups mainly. So if he was to do that against starters, I mean, the thing here is the Giants are sitting there with Eli Manning. You got Daniel Jones, and I think how this season plays out for the Giants is once they're 2-5, 1-4, they're going to put Daniel Jones in because they paid him a lot of money and he's the first pick. But I think the thing that frees up here, if you do it before the middle of October, and you talked about it the other day, what if something happens to a Tom Brady or a Russell Wilson or an Andy Dalton or a Dak Prescott, and all of a sudden you had the capability of trading for Eli Manning?
Yeah.
I mean, Eli Manning, I'm sure, doesn't have 3, 4, 5 years left, but let's say you're the Cowboys and you start off the season 4-0. And Dak Prescott goes down and he's out for the rest of the season. Do you want to run with the guy you got at backup right now, Cooper Rush? Or would you rather just jump Eli Manning in there?
So does a guy like Eli Manning kind of become like a Drew Bledsoe? Kind of just like he'll plug in and fill wherever he wants to fill in, wherever they need him?
Well, Bledsoe basically disappeared after the Patriots. He went to the Cowboys for a while, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
But
yeah.
I don't remember where he went, to tell you the truth. But no, Manning is just a dude that's old. He's probably got, at least one decent season left in him. And if you put him on a Cowboys team that has a healthy Ezekiel Elliott, the defense is playing well, and they're sitting at 4-0, having Eli Manning means you're probably at least a 10-6 team. Where if you got Cooper Rush, you might be 7-9.
Yeah. Okay. So you made a statement earlier that talked about the game's a dangerous sport. It's physical, it's contact, and we were talking about the scrimmages. And let's go to Antonio Brown in his helmet. I know you yesterday when we talked about this, you want to be in compliance with everything. But if the guy wants to wear, it's dangerous sport. He wants to wear his own helmet. Why should they not let him wear his own helmet? Oh,
Jesus, because the NFL and the NFLPA agreed that you can't. It's not safe. The helmets are too old to be recertified. The NFL today said that he could use the same helmet. He just needs to find one that's a couple years newer.
Okay, so as Gruden came out on ESPN yesterday and said he fully supports Antonio Brown, and Brown's coming back. I guess reading the ESPN headlines right now that he's going to report.
Well, he don't want to have to give back $100 million, and John Gruden's going to support him because he's his player. And John Gruden is basically a spineless coward anyways. That's why he's failed ever since he won the Super Bowl. The guy is just a me guy. He's just like Antonio Brown. This is why this is never going to work in Oakland, because they got a bunch of look-at-me guys.
Do you know who Andy Brown is?
Who?
Andy Brown.
Who?
He was a goalie for the Indianapolis Racers.
So,
he was the last goalie that never wore a face mask.
I was a Cincinnati Stingers fan.
Yeah, he was the last goalie that never wore a face mask.
Yeah, he also never played in the NHL, did he?
I don't know.
I don't think so. So it doesn't matter.
I'm not a hockey fan.
He played in the what was it? The WHA, the World Hockey League, that had
WHL or
Bobby
something like
Orr
that,
and Gretzky's first.
Yeah, all the guys.
And,
Oh.
Yeah, because I remember watching the Cincinnati Stingers.
Gretzky started playing for the Racers. That was Gretzky's first job.
That was good hockey, too, because I remember watching the Stingers play the Racers. I think Andy McWilliams used to do the games here. He was also the old Xavier basketball play-by-play guy. But I loved watching those old Stingers games. And then the WHA folded. Or was it WHA or I think it was the World...
WHL, wasn't it? World Hockey League?
It was either that or the World Hockey Association.
Association, one or the other,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the WHA, but...
You're probably right. Yeah, I would defer to you on that one.
And it was bullshit that when they were interested in either Indianapolis or Cincinnati got an NHL franchise, too. I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
But
I'd say, so Antonio Brown, starting with that, what's the big deal about letting him wear his own helmet? How hard do these guys get hit?
Huh?
I know receivers take a bunch of headshots.
Dude, the helmet don't save anything. It doesn't matter. Right now, it's just
does it matter?
They're paying him $100 million, and he's going to raise hell about what helmet he wears. I mean, come on. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could find a brand new helmet that fits Antonio Brown just fine. He just wants to be, he wants to show everybody how important he is. And by doing this, for the last week, he's been the lead story on the NFL Network and ESPN. And the thing is this, everybody just ought to just ignore it because it doesn't matter. He's going to play because he's not going to give back $100 million. So he's basically just wants to scream, look at me. That's what he does. That's why the Raiders are not going to win, because guys like Antonio Brown keep your team from winning. Once again, in Pittsburgh, not one Super Bowl with a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback, the best running back in football, the best wide receiver in football.
Right.
Constantly in the playoffs, but never gets past the Patriots.
Here's the question. Did the Steelers just clean house and come out in the better end of the deal, getting rid of Bell and Brown? Did they just like we were cleaning the crap out of the kitchen?
Yeah, no doubt they made themselves. I mean, last year they were almost a playoff team. They're a borderline playoff team this year, and they don't have to deal with the BS, and they don't have to pay a running back and a wide receiver $1 gazillion. In the long run, they're better off.
There you go. And Bell's at the Jets, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. We'll see what happens there.
Have fun with that.
And then we're already proving that Brown is wreaking havoc on the Raiders already. That's another question I had for you. If you watch the games, and I watched as many games as I could watch, attendance was horrific at these games.
It has been for the last few years, and it keeps getting worse because people don't want to pay to watch flag football or practice football with guys that aren't going to play in games. I would say this, the third game of the season, if the crowds are still like that, then you know it's a serious issue because that's the game where people know for a half they're going to get real football.
Well, how much of it in Oakland is it that they know the team's leaving next year to go to Las Vegas?
Well, that's got to be part of it in Oakland.
It's got to be part of it, yeah, in a huge way, I would think. Yeah. Go ahead.
Plus the fact that they suck.
I don't know.
They suck.
I don't know.
What did they win last year? 3 or 4 games, 5 games, something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they suck.
Yeah.
Plus,
okay.
Oakland Alameda has been there forever, and it's kind of a dump.
Yes, I've been to that stadium. It's not one of the nicest ones I've ever been to.
No, it's probably one of the worst.
It's a baseball stadium, basically.
Yeah, so it doesn't help when you put all those factors together. But my guess is when the Colts come home and the Bengals come home, those stadiums will be lucky to be a half full.
Let's talk about Andrew Luck.
I don't know.
Risley comes out and says,
nothing to say.
Risley comes out and says it's a bone issue now. So now we're deeper into this than just a calf strain. How serious do you think this is, or do you have any clue? You're a coach.
I have no clue. I think he plays the first game of the season. I think they're just being careful with him right now. But if this drags on into week 3 of preseason, then I would start to worry about it. I mean, we don't even have – they're saying he's throwing the heck out of the ball. Have we seen film of him throwing the ball? I don't pay much attention to the Colts because I think they're –
I haven't seen any film of him throwing the ball at all.
Yeah, so if
I follow the coach. I mean, it's my team, so I follow him.
If he's throwing the hell out of the ball, looks like they'd be showing videos of it so people don't freak out. But right now, I mean, there's no way to know.
So we're back to Jacoby Brissett. So that's why the Colts don't want to give him up.
No, we're not. We're back to Jacoby Brissett.
Brissett. All right.
Same thing. You're right.
Yeah.
The only difference is for Jacoby Brissett to play, you have to put him on a charcoal grill for 14 to 16 hours at low heat. Jacoby Brissett can come right in, warm up, play the game. All right. So, Steve, I'm tired of talking. How about you? You got anything else before we wrap it up?
I don't know. Are there any things in the NFL we need to talk about? No, I did want to bring up one thing. I did. I saw this on Twitter. Good. That's one of your comments on this. Let me pull it up here on photos. Okay. Here are the top 12 quarterbacks pay grades in the NFL. Okay, let's start at the bottom. The GOAT. Who's the GOAT?
Tom Brady.
$23 million a year. Next, Alex Smith, $23.5. Next, Andrew Luck, $24. Drew Brees, the second GOAT, probably, $25. Derek Carr, $25. Matt Stafford, $27. Garoppolo, $27.5. Kirk Cousins, $28 million. Matt Ryan, $30 million. Wentz, $32 million, who only played about 5 games this year. Aaron Rodgers, who's on the downside of his career, $33.5. Roethlisberger, $34, and Russell Wilson, $35. Is that anywhere in line with where it should be?
How about this? If you go highest paid quarterbacks in guaranteed money,
yeah,
the top 10, Peyton Manning is not on that. Not Peyton Manning, but Tom Brady is not even on the list. Number 1 in guaranteed money, Matt Ryan, $94 million. Kirk Cousins, number 2, $84 million. Aaron Rodgers, number 3 at $79. Russell Wilson, $70. Carson Wentz, $66. Matt Stafford, $60. Alex Smith, $55. Eli Manning, $54. Nick Foles, $45. Andrew Luck, $44. What's your point? Because we know the reason Tom Brady's not up there is because Tom Brady
sacrifices his own money to build a team. Right.
Yeah. And, I mean, that's what he does. And Matt Ryan's a good quarterback, but $94 million seems a little excessive.
So is this just way out of whack for what they pay these guys and how these guys negotiate
No,
this
it can't be way out of whack because then you look at what the teams are worth. They're worth billions of dollars. So paying your quarterback $90 million is no big deal. And let's face it, if Dan Quinn wasn't a complete dumbass with Kyle Shanahan, we wouldn't even question Matt Ryan's money because Matt Ryan would have won a Super Bowl. Because the way he played, he deserved to win a Super Bowl 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
There you go. All right. I just saw that on Twitter, and I saw the money that these guys are making salary-wise. And
I can tell you this,
Tom Brady.
Steve, your son, Lucas Weiss, is now listening.
Is he? What did he say? You ripping on me again?
No, he didn't rip on you. He just said Tom Brady is the GOAT and Steve is rambling again. That's all he said. Nothing bad this time.
Rambling's my job. I'm a rambling guy.
You're a rambling man. Who sang Ramblin' Man?
That was Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young.
Are you sure about that?
I think I'm pretty sure.
Wasn't that ever a Jeopardy question?
No, it's not a Jeopardy question. But look it up real quick. Ramblin' Man, I thought
I don't have to look it up. I'm just asking you if you know what it is. Because I'm pretty sure Ramblin' Man was the Allman Brothers, dude.
Oh, it's Allman Brothers. Okay, yeah. All right, that's the other Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. You're right. It's the Allman Brothers.
I know. That's what I just said. I can't believe you didn't know that since you're the Jeopardy king and Days of Our Lives king and Young and the Restless and all the other stupid.
No, I don't watch Days of Our Lives.
Hey, did you watch the 90210 reunion show a couple nights ago?
You know, I've got it on tape, but I did not watch it. I don't think I can get into that. I don't think I can do that one.
Lucas, you're wrong. Lucas said Wayne Jennings. Do you mean Waylon Jennings, Lucas?
Waylon Jennings is Rambling Man?
Yeah, but so you DVR'd the Beverly Hills 90210 show?
It's on DVR, but I'm not going to watch it.
Don't watch it, because we tried to watch it. Because, see, me and my wife were young when we met. We used to watch 90210 all the time, and we watched, like, the first 5 minutes the other night. And we looked at each other like, this is the most inane, stupid shit we've ever seen in our lives.
There's 2 shows you got to watch, and we'll end it on this. You got to watch Yellowstone with Kevin Costner. It's on Paramount. It's kind of a remake of, I don't know if you're old enough to remember Dallas. Do you remember Dallas?
I remember Dallas.
Yeah, it's a remake of Dallas, only done much better. And it is phenomenal. It's a great show. The other one is CNN actually did a series, and they just finished it up last night. I watched the last episode at 2 o'clock this morning on the movies. They went by decades. They broke down all the great movies by the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. They did a great job breaking those down, and you saw all the great clips and all you had all the directors on and everybody on about how all these great movies were made. They had interviews with everybody. So You got to watch. Go to CNN and get the movies.
I refuse to
And
watch
go-
the Communist News Network.
Yeah, well, I'm with you. But they're like everybody else now. They're getting into programming, rather than news.
Well, they always have.
They
had the series on the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and all that.
I'll tell you the other good one to watch is, Mike. I don't know if you get Showtime or HBO. I think it's on HBO. The Loudest Voice.
Is that about you, Steve?
No, it's about Roger Ailes and how he created Fox News.
He's an ass too.
And his rise and downfall of Fox News. I watched that last night at about 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So before I
have the same respect for Fox News, MSNBC, and CNN.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree.
None.
Yeah.
So
it's all
you
propaganda.
can sit there and watch
propaganda.
I tend to just watch real
but
stuff.
But the story of how it was created is what's good about it. It's not the fact.
It's Tuesday night's Hard Knocks night, right?
Yep, tonight's Hard Knocks. Yeah,
okay.
Round 2.
So, do you like Hard Knocks?
I've watched Hard Knocks from its inception. I've never missed an episode of Hard Knocks in my life.
Oh, me neither. Who was the first team
Actually,
on Hard Knocks?
Oh God, who was the first team? Man, that's a long time ago. That's like 6 or 7 years ago.
No, it's a lot longer ago than that.
Is it that? It's been on that long? I don't know. Who?
I think it was the Ravens. Like the year or two. I think
Ravens?
the first year of it was like 2002.
Hard Knocks is a cool show.
Because the Ravens were the first team, and then I think it was the Ravens, the Cowboys, and then maybe the Chiefs. I don't know. Here's the question: has any team on Hard Knocks ever won the Super Bowl?
That's a great question. Don't know the answer to that.
Me neither. I don't think they have. I know the year the Bengals were on, it didn't pull through.
Hey,
but
I got a great topic for Friday. Let's end with this. Let's see if we can get Lucas on, who's listening, if he'll join us. Maybe get Anthony on. And let's pick the 5 or 10 greatest sports heroes of all time.
All right. Lucas said nope.
Oh, Lucas. I know. He's at a tennis match now. He's big time.
He's not at a tennis match right now, is he?
You
know, the thing that upset me is the Western and Southern Opens this week. I could have easily got credentials for it, and I completely brain farted on it and didn't.
Western and Southern Open, what is that?
It's in Cincinnati. It used to be
Tennis
like
match?
the ATP in Cincinnati, or
yeah.
Because I remember going to it back in like '91 because I went and watched Jimmy Connors play somebody because I love Jimmy Connors.
And then they used to come to the clay course in Indianapolis the next week.
Yeah, nobody cared. No, they didn't, because the Western and Southern, which used to be the ATP, is always the week before the U.S. Open.
I don't. Okay,
There's no reason to play a clay court tournament the week before the U.S.
But they
Open.
did, and that's why they changed it. They did, and then they went to Forest Lawn and played the U.S. Open.
But Forest Lawn
that was a long
had
time
the US
ago.
Open since what, early '70s.
Mm-hmm. Now it's at Arthur Ashe Stadium.
Well, it's been there since mid '70s, I think. Lucas is listening in.
Yeah.
He's our golfing or tennis
Lucas,
expert. So.
Tell Lucas to spread it out. What is it?
Spread what out?
They used to go to the ATP in Cincinnati. Then they would come to Indianapolis, and they hated the fact that they had to come and play on clay. They had to play on clay. Then they had to go to, I think Forest Lawn was actually on grass at some point.
Yeah, I think it was.
And then they went to the hard crew.
Lucas wants you to define a sporting hero.
A sporting hero is just, let's go down. I know who my number one is. I watched a documentary on him 2 nights ago. Jim Brown. My number one sporting hero, and I'll just say it, is Babe Ruth. There's no greater sporting hero in the world than Babe Ruth.
Yeah, there is.
Who?
If
Muhammad
I give
Ali?
you that right now, there's many. There's a couple at least. But if I give it to you now, we couldn't do that show, Steve.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to give it away. So tell
You
Lucas
just gave yours away.
Well, that's fine. I'll stick by my guns. But you got Jim Brown.
Lucas
you got
asked, "Can
Muhammad
athletes
Ali.
be heroes?" I think athletes can be heroes.
Yeah, athletes can't be heroes. Of
I
course they're
think
heroes.
this though.
You got Michael Jordan.
I don't think they necessarily should be, but I think there are athletes. How about this? He may not make my top 5, but what about a guy like Joe Delaney, who jumped into a lake to try to save like 3 or 4 kids that were drowning, and he couldn't swim.
Mm-hmm.
He saved 1 or 2, couldn't get to the other ones, and he drowned. Whether he's an athlete or not, a guy like Joe Delaney was a hero.
Well, there you go. See, there's a variance of opinion. This is what it does. My theory was sports heroes on the field, but that's a great call. I mean,
yeah, but this is the thing. To
call.
be a sports hero on the field, you have to be a sports hero off the field. Lucas just had a good one, but Terry Fox.
Don't know Terry Fox.
How can you not know who Terry Fox is?
Just give me a
watch
hint.
the documentary. There's a documentary about him. What was the name of the documentary, Lucas? Since you're not on right now, I'm just talking to you through the radio or the computer. There was a documentary. I can't remember what the heck the name of it was, but it was like.
I mean, you got to look at Hulk Hogan. You got to look at Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was a great sports hero.
You're kidding, right?
Frickin' Rocky was a great sports hero.
Rocky who?
Rocky Balboa.
Okay. I think I can see why Lucas didn't want to do this show with us. I mean, Terry Fox, if I remember. I can't remember. Was the name of the documentary Terry, he said, I think. But what I remember about him was he lost his leg, I think, to cancer. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Lucas. But in I think it was 79 or 80, he ran the Marathon of Hope, which was a cross-country run to raise money for cancer research.
All right. Now I know you're talking about.
Yeah, and he hoped to raise like $1 from each of Canada's 24 million people. But, yeah, Terry Fox was a Canadian national hero. I mean, they've, I think, built buildings, statues, roads, parks, and named them in his honor across the entire country. That is a sports hero.
Yeah, Lucas is going to puke, but you got to look at Mario Andretti. Guys wanted every race they were running.
I hope you're kidding.
No, I'm not.
A sports hero.
When you start throwing out names of sports heroes, Andretti's name will come up. I'm not a big Andretti fan. I'm a Foyt fan. But his name will come up.
Why would he be a sports hero?
He's wanted everything.
What did he do to become a sports hero? See, to me, a hero is not somebody that just wins. To me, a hero is somebody who wins, and when he wins, it affects people's lives. What Terry Fox did affected people's lives. What a Joe Louis or Muhammad Ali did was affected people's lives. You cannot put Mario Andretti in the same conversation with Terry Fox for 2 simple reasons. Number 1, Mario Andretti did nothing but drive a car. Number 2, Mario Andretti, not even a freaking athlete. He's not. Dude, he's 5'7". He weighs 200 pounds. In what world is he an athlete? In none. In your mind and the mind of a bunch of other people that live in trailer parks.
You know, one time in Fishers, Indiana, I sat at Bill's Pantry and had a big gulp with him. Because Michael Andretti lived across the street from me. I mean, he lived in the next neighborhood across the street from my neighborhood.
So you took a
when
big
I lived
gulp
in
with Mario Andretti?
Yeah, we sat in the parking lot and talked for 10 minutes. Coolest guy in the world.
Did you tell him you were Isaiah Thomas?
No, I didn't tell him I was Isaiah Thomas. He didn't know who I was. He didn't care who I was. I
know. That's why I figured maybe you'd tell him. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What's a big gulp? Because
a big gulp's a big, huge slurpee you get at the Village Pantry.
What's a Village Pantry?
You guys don't have Village Pantries in Lawrenceburg, Indiana?
No, we got a Walmart.
Okay. Well, don't go there. They're not safe places
To
anymore.
Walmart?
Yeah.
Walmart's not a safe place because you got yoga pants there that are just eating women up. All right. We're going to go ahead and wrap the show up. Was it an alcoholic big gulp? Lucas wants to know.
No. It was just I had a strawberry Slurpee, and he had, I don't know what flavor he got. I didn't ask. But we were parked next to each other. We both came out at the same time, got a Slurpee. And I went over and introduced myself to him, and we talked for about 10 minutes, and it was monumental for me.
Did you sit on the tailgate of his truck and hold hands and swing your feet back and forth?
No, he had a Mercedes. I didn't sit on his car. I wasn't going to do that.
All right. Before we wrap it up, who sang the song for? Can you answer that question, Steve?
What?
There. All right.
What was the question? I didn't hear the
question. We're going to wrap the show up. What? No, I'm just screwing with you.
Oh.
Right. So,
Make Lucas come on Friday and do the top 10 sports heroes.
I think that would be interesting, Lucas, because we're going to get some stupid stuff from some people.
There you go. Probably me.
And then from me and Lucas, you'll get concise, incisive heroes.
Oh, you'll get all Canadian heroes.
Not from me.
No, How about the Canadian tennis player that just won because Serena Williams had to pull out? What's Lucas got to say about that?
What? Who won?
The Canadian tennis player that just won. They were playing a tennis tournament up in Canada, I think, somewhere. And Serena Williams busted her back up, and she had to withdraw. Mm-hmm. So what's he say about that?
Well, I think he would say that
I'm not getting copied on that.
The Canadian won. Well, it's on Spreaker. If you ever looked on the Spreaker, you could see everything that was said. And then you'd probably hate Lucas forever.
Oh, I love Lucas.
But, all right, we're going to go ahead and get off here after that gay comment. So you can hear all of our shows on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, even all throughout Canada on almost every podcasting network. We're going to wrap it up. We will be back tomorrow, to talk about something that I will text Steve at 12:55 and tell him what we're going to talk about, and then he's going to tell me, I got to research this real quick. But we will be back at 1 o'clock tomorrow. You can hear all of our shows everywhere. So, for Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.